I got some interesting tidbits in here.
Yeah.
Which is really all we've got on this podcast is just interesting tidbits.
Tidbit podcast? Oh my god.
Oh my god, this is what we do, right?
We have so many ideas.
We get our stuff shored up. We go to Tim Hortons, we shore ourselves up, and we do tidbits with Timbits.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Right?
That'd be
Internet?
So cool. Yeah.
Is nobody doing this?
Good to go?
Sugar. I'm going to put the milk in because it's going to go off.
I'll get it.
Yeah, you get it.
I can get out a bit quicker.
Thank you.
D, say, what's the quickest milk in the world?
Chris, what's the quickest milk in the world?
Pasteurized. I don't even know if the mic's picked it up. They'll just hear you going, what's the quickest milk in the world? And a carton of milk will just fly by.
What a joke.
Oh god, we're failing miserably. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Empty Promise podcast. My name is Chris, and today you are joining me and my best friend in the whole wide world, Mr. James D. Downey.
Hello.
On what is episode 101.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say to you right before we started. Remember I got excited?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
That's 101.
It's 101. Like room 101. You know,
Vault 101.
Oh, Vault 101. Yeah. As you may have noticed from the video, or the thumbnail of the video.
We have completely ditched the last studio. We moved here.
Yeah, it burnt down horrifically.
Episode 100 was not lucky for us.
This is coming from the city of Belfast as I join D, as he welcomes me into his humble abode. So thank you, D.
Welcome. And I welcome all of you too.
Thank you, yes. If you are listening to the video version, remember you can watch the audio version. No, I got that wrong. If you're listening to the audio version, there is a video version over at youtube.com. And of course, if you're watching, you can listen at any podcast hosting service.
Bring it with you, get it on the go.
And
recently checked where we're running. We're running everywhere.
Yep.
Spotify, Apple, other ones as well.
Stitcher, Google Podcasts.
Podcast Addict, Castbox, TuneIn,
Podbox,
Deezer. Ever seen Deezer?
Deezer, yeah, that's a big,
Deezer,
yeah.
So, yeah.
And
no excuses.
for your pleasure, the timestamps are all down below. So if you want to skip on to any, you want to ditch all this and just get straight into the good stuff, just use the timestamps down below or in the description of the audio, whatever, and it is there.
And they will guide you.
They will guide you. You can skip all this crap. But thank you, D.
High quality crap.
And thank you to everybody for being here on what is the 5th of September. 2020.
Summer's...
that sounded wrong. 2020.
Reading to an end.
It is. It's crazy. Like weird. Like when COVID started, that was like 6 months ago.
It was March.
Yeah. Like
it was the start of it was
the pandemic.
Bright New Year coming up.
Yeah. No.
Don't
Didn't happen.
worry
That's crazy, D. We have like 6 months. We always used to say we're kicking the ass out of like February or March or whatever. We're kicking the ass out of this year. It's gone.
This year is kicking the ass out of us.
Yeah, true.
With what's happened so far.
Well, I have some important events from history. Most notably in 1666.
I should know that. Fire of London?
Yes, the Great Fire of London ends, leaving 13,200 houses destroyed and 8 dead.
Only 8 dead?
Only 8 dead.
I mean...
They got it well under control. People
how
just
many? 13,000 houses?
13,200 houses destroyed. But I think what it was, though, it wasn't just like I know it was a rampant fire, but people had time to get out and stand back and kind of watch as the fire. I'm pretty sure they evacuated the city.
I think you're right. Yeah. I don't think it was like a hurricane of fire.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was slow, but it was just kind of, you couldn't stop it.
Exactly.
It was so tightly.
Yeah. In 1839, the first Opium War begins in China, and in 2017, Hurricane Irma becomes the most powerful hurricane ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin region with winds of 185 miles per hour.
Jesus
that is
Christ.
Insane. And 1958, the first color video recording on magnetic tape presented Charlotte, North Carolina. And now look how far we've come. Now you get to watch us in full color.
Yeah. On the internet. That didn't exist in 1958.
There's more, D. 1972, what? 11 Israeli athletes are taken hostage. You know the Iran hostage crisis in Munich at the Munich Olympics? Do you ever see that film, Munich?
No.
Eric Bana?
No.
No, me either. I just know he's in it.
It's a good one though, I've heard. I'm sure it's pretty good.
God, there was actually a lot happened on this day.
Is it a good day or a bad day? All things considered. It sounds pretty negative.
It does sound pretty negative. The first legal forward pass in American football was thrown
Oh, that was a horrendous day in American history.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I wonder if there's any famous birthdays. Louis the... What's XIV in Roman numerals?
14th.
Louis the 14th's birthday today. Jesse James's birthday today.
Well, this is a bad day.
Freddie Mercury's birthday today.
Okay, it's a better day. It's a better day.
Okay, yeah, that wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive day, historically speaking.
Yep.
Considering last week it was literally nothing. Just nothing happened.
And the oldest living woman in 2019 gave birth to twins on this day.
The oldest living woman?
The oldest living woman to give birth to twins, sorry. She was 74.
Whoa!
Yeah, 74, and she popped out twins,
Was that that had to be with medical assistance?
Oh, it must have been. It was in India. I didn't read too much into
That's
it, but
insane.
yeah. That's mad. So there you go. That's all
Never too late.
That's all your factoids. It's never too late. Yeah, I don't got no more.
No, that's good. I got some sort of semi-related news on that actually.
Yeah.
It's like the only news I got this week, Chris. I apologize. I wasn't very prudent.
Okay.
In gathering the news.
You want to go into the news now?
Yeah, that's what we would do.
Yeah,
right?
let's go into the news.
I got a segue. Let's segue. You mentioned 1958. It was the first ever video or semi-video color film.
Mm-hmm.
There were some advancements in technology since then. Naturally.
Really?
But VHS.
Yes.
Remember VHS?
Yeah,
we grew up with
big
that video
tapes.
games.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. You actually bought me for like Christmas in primary 7 Spider-Man on VHS as a gift. Yeah.
That's a good gift.
That's a great gift.
I do speak for myself.
I took it over to your house and we watched it.
I love that. I
Tobey
got to
Maguire.
watch it. I bought it for him, but I get to watch it.
James Franco, Willem Dafoe,
I love the Spider-Man.
Kirsten Dunst. That's a good cast.
I remember watching that.
Mm.
We had a good laugh at that. Enjoyed that.
We had a fantastic laugh at the Green Goblin's like demise at the end of it. Yeah. Oh, he just gets impaled.
We watched that about 6 times.
Yeah,
just
of course
rewind.
we did. Yeah.
Rewind.
Probably trying to reenact some of Spider-Man's moves around the wall as we did.
Well, VHS, not so popular today in 2020, but there is a VHS release coming this year of a reasonably new movie. Nick Cage's Mandy.
What?
Is getting a VHS release.
Why does Nick Cage have to release, or why do they have to release that on VHS?
I don't know. Apparently, it's a collector thing. So, vinyl, music is making a bit of a comeback. Apparently,
it's been making a comeback though, like this last couple of years, isn't it? Like 3 or 4 years.
I think for collector purposes. I mean, vinyl I think is still pretty good, audio.
Great quality.
Yeah. VHS is definitely not. It's bad. It's grainy.
And God help you if you want to rewind or get to a certain chapter. There is no chapter.
You have to wait 10 minutes.
You just got to fast forward.
Exactly. But yeah, Broke fan and Writer Entertainment today announced, this was actually September 1st, announced that Mandy, cult sensation from director Panos Cosmos, Peter, I don't know where that came from, and star Nicolas Cage.
From director Peter Pan? I thought that's what you were saying.
Cage has been he's been in a lot of great movies recently, a lot of horrible movies recently, but he's basically been doing a lot of movies.
Yeah. One
of the sort of most popular recently is this Mandy, which I've never seen and I should definitely watch. But it's getting an official release on VHS. So
Nick Cage is like the actor. I think we've spoken about this before. We probably have. Who they just keep firing movies at him, roles at him, and he'll do it all and see what sticks.
I think he has to do it all.
Yeah.
Apparently he's so
in
broke.
debt.
Yeah.
He can't be that much in debt, surely.
I don't know, man.
He bought everybody around on New Year's Eve, remember?
He's doing all right.
Yeah, he's Nick Cage.
But he's still pumping out films like it's nobody's business.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, it arrives on VHS in a black clamshell case with several limited edition variants, including artwork by Vasilis Zikos, artwork by Christopher Shea, and a special edition with a red VHS tape, which I know I'll definitely be going for if I'm going to get it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, for optimal VHS viewing. This is brilliant. The film has been cropped from its original aspect ratio, so widescreen to 4:3 to 4:3. So like little square TV boxes.
Yeah.
The film has been cropped. It is officially licensed from RGLE Films and it's approved. It's 100% legit. You can go out and purchase this.
Down to 4:3. Remember, we used to watch things on 4:3.
And they weren't happy.
This is insane, right? The other day, my youngest brother, was complaining when we were playing Mario Kart. He wasn't complaining. It was more just a statement he made because we were doing split screen, so it splits in 4.
Yeah.
And he was like, "These screens are so small." We were playing on a 55-inch TV at the time.
You don't get to complain.
Okay. I paused the game to explain to him that you and I once played Halo 3 split
Split
screen
screen.
on a TV that gave us about that much room each.
Yeah.
Just both.
It was a 12-inch screen.
It was a 12-inch screen. We played Halo 3 campaign.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And it
Kids
was
these days.
good.
It was great,
We
dude.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, we did that for like 3 days straight. We just didn't leave.
That's all you had, you know.
Yeah.
You made do.
Mm-hmm. Well, we alternated between playing Halo 3 and building a treehouse.
We did. We didn't do much of building the treehouse.
No. We'd go to build a treehouse and then say, do you want to go play Halo 3? Yeah. But
Halo 3, damn fine game.
staying with kind of movie and TV news, the first trailer of The Haunting of Bly Manor released.
I seen it.
Have you watched The Haunting of Hill House?
I have, yeah.
Did I recommend it to you?
You did.
Oh, fuck yeah. It's so fucking good, right?
It's excellent.
That's
yes.
probably the best recommendation I think that has been made to me that I've followed through with.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
There's
mean?
been plenty of recommendations.
Yeah. That was actually the main man, one of our frequent listeners that
Thank
recommended that one. Thank you.
Because I enjoyed that thoroughly as well.
So now I'm ridiculously excited for this. But Mike Flanagan and the Netflix team are going to liven up this spooky Halloween season because on October 9th, all 9 episodes are going to hit Netflix
Nice.
of The Haunting of Bly Manor.
That's going to be great. I'm going to watch that for sure. I'm going to try and catch that as soon as it comes out. Definitely. Might be good to watch actually around Halloween as well.
The Haunting of Hill House, as The Haunting of Hill House was based on the works of Shirley Jackson, Bly Manor will be based on the works of Henry James, most specifically James's gothic romance classic, The Turn of the Screw. Now I've heard of The Turn of the Screw.
I've never read it.
No, same.
No
idea what it is.
I think it's going to be trippy though.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Yeah. There's a clip the clip obviously focuses on the creepy children.
The creepy children.
Yeah.
They're just children. They're not meant to be creepy.
Let me see. I don't want to read too much just in case there's like full of spoilers. Not as all as it seems at the manor, and centuries of dark secrets of love and loss are waiting to be unearthed in this chilling gothic romance. At Bly Manor, dead does not mean gone. Looking forward to this.
I think I was thinking about this morning. The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, superb.
Excellent film.
Superb.
Yep.
Superb. Especially that episode that they did the full shot.
Yeah, the storm.
That was
one.
so good. That was
excellent.
if for anybody that hasn't watched it yet, I can't recommend it enough. Especially coming up around Halloween time.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's not like a shock horror, like things popping up and scaring you all the time. It's a lot more psychological and
there's
just interesting.
There is some jump scares. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, but it's
2
not,
or 3 times I was caught.
It's not like all the time, never ending, ceaseless.
No.
And there's a lot of interesting actual story going on that you kind of you'll persevere with the horror.
Yeah.
If you're not a person who enjoys scary films.
Sticking with kind of geeky, nerdy news, Nintendo has announced the Super Mario remasters. I was speaking to you before in its 35th anniversary direct. Basically, the only real thing I wanted to take away from this is that Super Mario 3D All Stars is coming to the Switch, which is going to include optimized, not remade versions of 3D Mario games, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. In addition to having higher resolutions than their original versions, the games have been optimized for a smooth gameplay experience on Nintendo Switch. And it will be available September 18th.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got to be here before Christmas because that's going to
be very, very soon.
I don't know actually how much kids these days are going to appreciate that. But
Not
I'd
at all.
imagine definitely Super Mario Sunshine.
Super Mario Sunshine is awesome.
And Super Mario Galaxy are probably going to appeal to them. Maybe not 64.
64 probably not. No.
Probably a bit dated looking. But I never actually played all the 64, so if I got that, I'll definitely be playing through all 3 of those games. I was thinking about this the other day. Mario it's just something about it. They just make excellent games.
Yeah, the only thing I was kind of disappointed in is that we still haven't got any DLC for Kart. Like new tracks, more tracks. Give us more tracks. You know, just another couple of cups maybe or something.
Maybe. But I guess like it was made and done, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like Deluxe was the DLC.
Deluxe was the DLC, yeah. But
they're working on Mario Kart 9.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Maybe actually, yeah.
Bound to be like.
Staying with optimized games, just one more bit of news on it. The Witcher 3 is coming to the next generation.
Yep.
Yeah. So a visually and technically enhanced version of the game will be available for purchase for PC and next-gen consoles, and a free update for owners of the game on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. And that was from the Witcher Twitter.
That's pretty incredible. It's basically the Skyrim of our generation.
It's
Even though Skyrim is
that's exactly what it is. Yeah, Skyrim's still going.
But
it's just gonna be
nice that they're giving that for free as well. If you already own the game.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
It's either has it come to or it was set to come to the Switch as well. Maybe it's out already. I'm not too sure.
It's out. Witcher 3's out on Switch. Yeah.
Witcher 3.
Yep.
That's insane. Like, how does that game even play on the Switch?
We'll take a pause here for the dogs barking.
Oh yeah.
3-minute intermission. Got some popcorn in us. That's all good.
Yeah, we just need to get some popcorn in. Keeping with the news. You got another bit of news you want to mention? Sport news?
Yeah.
That we rarely do in this podcast. We're not really a sporty kind of... We're not sporty guys.
No.
We enjoy it. God knows I
watch
enjoy sport, yeah.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Not religiously.
What would the world be without sport?
It would be duller.
It really would.
You know,
here's a question for you to ponder over. By the way, sorry, I need to address this before we go any further. Last week, Dee offered up a riddle.
Yeah.
The answer was Q.
Yeah. The riddle. In case you didn't listen last week. Couldn't give them a chance to do it, Chris.
Sorry. Oh, they had a week.
They had a week. If you were listening last week. Yeah, it was... I
apologize.
What 5-letter word can you remove 4 letters from? And it'll still sound the same. Chris did get back to me like... That evening, we forgot to do it on pub. He got back to me that evening and said, "Is it Q?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, it was Q.
He did solve it.
Yeah, I solved the riddle.
He riddled over that.
But here's another question for you, right? Just to ponder over while this whole thing goes on, Dave. Yes. Right? What's going to happen whenever chimps or monkeys learn how to make fire?
What? I mean, chimps and monkeys have been there for like as long as we have.
Yeah, but they're still evolving.
You think?
Yeah. And when they learn how to make that spark, what the hell is going to happen?
Over. Yeah. For humanity.
What's going to happen?
I don't know.
Or use guns?
I'm pretty sure you could train a chimp to use a gun.
Oh, easily, yeah. You can train monkeys to do a lot.
Yeah. Like you probably train them to do fire. Christ. But I don't think they'll ever evolve to that state.
You don't think? You think evolution's stopped?
No, evolution's going, but it's so slow. Like, we'll never see it in our lifetime if a chimp is going to do that. And it won't be a chimp, if it does that.
It'll have evolved.
It'll be a new animal. It'll be like a chimp man.
A human. Oh, that doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good. No. That sounds worrying.
Sorry for getting off tangent there. Let's get back to your sport news while I crack open me a cold one.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine a lot of people have heard of it. If you don't even follow sport, you've probably heard of it. It's Lionel Messi, fucking superstar at Barcelona Football Club. Has been there for basically his entire career. He's there from like youth stages. Announced in dramatic fashion that he intends to leave. He doesn't want to be at the club, and that he's leaving, and that it's in his contract he can leave at the end of the season.
Yeah, free agent.
Free agent, apparently. But the club, Barcelona, and their president Bartomeu has basically just said, nah.
No, not going to happen.
Yeah, they're like, if you wanted to leave, you should have left in June whenever the season normally ends. And they're like, yeah, but sure, COVID had happened obviously, and the season was extended, and so quite amazingly, they threatened legal action. Barcelona threatened legal action against their star player in order to make him stay. They threatened legal action.
He's not going to want to play for a club, surely, that's going to do that. I heard at one point that there was a buyout clause. They could be bought out, but the buyout clause was 600 million.
700 million.
What?
It's their best player. They obviously wanted to retain him at all costs.
But when a player doesn't want to play like that, you've lost him. Let him go and move on.
Well, Chris, the most recent update that came in yesterday is that Messi has decided to stay at Barcelona.
No.
The reason being
money.
No.
What?
He doesn't want to kick off a legal dispute with the club he loves. He says he's not happy with the president. He says he's been lied to, he's been cheated, but he's not going to go through a legal battle against Barcelona.
Because Barcelona is basically ran by the fans, isn't it? They have something in it where the fans make a lot of decisions and
something like that. I think the majority shareholder is fans. But at the same time, it's still it's the president.
The president's got to make the calls.
Yeah. And they're the ones who are threatening legal, it's the board who are threatening legal action and all this. And basically they've obviously made it as difficult as possible for him to leave.
That's crazy.
And, he probably wouldn't be allowed to leave. He wouldn't be able to start in a club for the next season, right? Due to legal battles. So he's either not going to be able to play football for half a season or more. Or...
Because there was talks, I mean, it was all just rumour mill, but Man City were looking at him.
Man City they had sent over a legal team to represent him.
Yeah.
They were like, we will take him and we will fight your legal battles.
Here's your money, yeah.
But
isn't his dad like his agent or something?
Yeah, there's always been questions over that as well.
And they were done for tax like a couple of years ago, weren't they? Tax fraud?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you know Ronaldinho is still in prison?
Yeah. I seen a video of him like a couple of months ago. He scored an excellent goal in the prison leagues.
One of the biggest football stars in the world He's still in prison for using fake passports.
Yeah. They're desperate for that.
But that's crazy
They
about
don't think
Messi.
anyone can touch them whenever they're that rich or
that's
that famous.
Crazy about Messi, hey? 700 million buyout.
It's insane.
Jesus.
But yeah.
I was just talking the other day. We were talking about like winning the lottery because the Euro Millions there was like 150 million or something. That doesn't even scratch the surface of his buyout clause.
Yeah, like
That's not even his like year's wages.
it's insane to me though. But
Ooh.
you're obviously not going to pay that. You're not going to give the club that should have, that you signed a contract saying you can leave at the end of the season. You're not going to pay them that money just to leave. So, I mean, I don't think this is over, right? I think there's still going to be some more twists and turns in this one. He says he's going to play for the club. I mean, I don't know how much football he's going to be playing.
Yeah.
They're going to want him to play, but
Are they going to boo him?
No, the fans love him, right? I mean, the fans are upset this is all happening.
Like, is he still going to be like? Is he? Yeah, he's not going to sabotage like the club or anything by like.
If a club legend says the reason I'm staying is because I don't want to have a legal dispute with this club because I love it so
going to
much,
like him even more.
you're probably going to be on board with that.
Hmm.
I mean, a lot of people are going to respect the fact he doesn't want to be there. He wants to leave. Okay, that sucks, but
Yeah.
it's his decision,
Jeez.
and he's not going to make a real big mess.
Where did
of it.
all this come from? I wonder. Like, to begin with,
I
because
think it was like Barcelona not performing lately.
Because remember there was like I read about maybe 3 weeks ago there was rumors that Ronaldo was set to go to Barcelona.
There's rumors about a lot of things.
Oh God.
There's rumors about Neymar coming back.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason there was that like Messi's at this point in the club where he's basically a captain, like he's basically a manager type figure where like you have opinions about how the club should be running.
It revolves, right? Yeah.
And
That's crazy that a player has that much like status.
But you think about it, it's kind of like a I don't know who's a good example, of like a leader, player who kind of would try and get the club to go in the direction.
Beckham would have been, I guess.
Beckham, maybe more like gigs or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like if you're not going to get us players who can perform, we're not going to play good football.
True.
They're going to have a role in how the club moves. I think Messi is definitely that, and basically nothing was happening that showed him that Barcelona were going to be serious about making a threat.
Football was just messy this season, wasn't it?
It just was. Yeah, I mean,
no pun intended. Oh my goodness! I just thought
sure.
It just came to me.
This is pasteurized. This is the pasteurized guy saying no pun intended.
I guess the whole situation is just messy.
Lionel.
I think they got it. Yeah, thank you for some sport news. We don't do that enough.
We don't.
Yeah. Maybe once every 3 months we'll have a bit of sport news to throw in.
It's like we're like the Olympics, the World Cup. Once every 4 years.
The other sport news actually, I know you don't follow Formula 1, but Claire Williams and her father completely stood down from Williams altogether. So Williams were bought out by another like American fund.
I'm going to be 100% true. I thought Claire Williams was one of the presenters.
No.
So
she was team principal, but they said when the new owners bought them out that Williams has been in the family name for generations. They were never going to step down. It was always going to be run by them. And there 2 days ago, she's now just completely stood back. So now there's going to be a new team principal coming in. And
her father, so the whole family link is sort of...
She took over from her father like years ago.
Okay.
And Williams haven't been doing so well. So now we've got this new... I forget, they're an American agency. I forget the name of them. But they've come in. They're taking it over. Big changes. Hopefully it does something for Williams. Hopefully it does something for F1 because... At the minute, it's just the Hamilton show. Let's be real.
Mercedes Hamilton?
Oh, yeah. It's fucking crazy. Like, there's no point in even racing anymore. Like, so. But yeah, just some more sport news. May as well just
something to mix it up.
Just fuck sport news out,
There you go.
We're
sporty. We're with it.
I don't think I have any more news for this week, D.
Yeah, I got very little news. And I apologize for that.
Oh wait. 1983's Grizzly 2, which was a movie about an oversized killer bear that terrorizes a young George Clooney, Laura Dern, and Charlie Sheen as they try to enjoy a music festival, is going to be released after sitting unfinished for decades.
Well, why wouldn't you finish that? Who was holding that back?
Isn't that crazy? So we've got George Clooney. Who's Laura Dern? I don't know.
I think, is she the girl from Jurassic Park? Is that Laura Dern?
Oh, is she?
Let's look it up. We can look it up.
Yeah, we can look it up.
We've got that capability now.
So you look it up,
and
I'll just talk about it a bit. So 1983, George Clooney, Laura Dern, and Charlie Sheen are trying to enjoy a music festival when an oversized killer bear. It's so preposterous.
Sorry, it's not even that preposterous. It's a funny sentence.
But just starts terrorizing them.
Oh, just them three.
Well, apparently. But it's going to be released after sitting unfinished. So what? It just mustn't have been like edited or something, or finished
Yeah, I
like
think
post
so.
production.
You probably need a lot of money to finish a film like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura Dern. That is just the girl from Jurassic Park.
Picture.
Uh,
So it would have been Sam Neill's like lover, bit wife.
I don't think so. I think they were just co-workers. No.
Well, in the third one
Did
they
I
had
really misinterpret that movie?
In the third one, I think they had a child together.
Oh well, then
Yeah.
they're really close
But
co-workers.
anyway, that's who Laura Dern is. So her,
That's
Charlie
crazy.
Sheen, and George Clooney are being terrorized by an oversized bear at a festival. It's 1983. Let me set the scene. It's 1983. You're with your friends. You're just gonna enjoy this music festival. You know, you gotta kick back a bit. I don't know what you're gonna do. It's up to you what you want to do. I'm not here to judge.
You know, yeah, maybe you're taking a couple of narcotics, maybe a little bit of alcohol.
You're enjoying the night. It's going well, and all of a sudden, an oversized grizzly bear
Killer bear. Gross.
starts terrorizing you and your two friends. What do? Go.
I just follow Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
That guy has got what blood has he got again? Got like wolf blood.
Let's go.
You know what he said?
Did he say
the
that?
Charlie Sheen?
No.
He's like, I got wolf blood in me.
Is that why you can just never be put down?
I think
the
so.
man should be dead long ago.
The narcotics he's consumed.
That's mad.
Well, we'll have to watch that if that does get finished.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Yeah, completely. And I'd also love. Yeah, no, we'll
Perfect
talk.
time to finish it as well. Whenever all the cinemas are closed.
But yeah, that's some news from this week. Hope you enjoyed that. That was an absolute amalgamation of news.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking forward to getting into some of the nitty gritty from this week.
Something nitty rippy.
Nitty rip. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Before we do though, just let me say to all of our listeners, all of our watchers, everybody who contributes to the podcast on a weekly basis, thank you so very, very much. It means the world that you do contribute through your comments, your messages, everything, even tagging us in posts that we do see. Eventually. Just thank you so much, and please continue to support by watching, liking, sharing. Just tell your friends and family about us, or anybody that you think would enjoy two Irish fellas just talking the talk.
The crack.
Not necessarily walking the walk, T.
No, we do sit mainly. It's mainly a seated podcast.
A walking podcast.
That's
so
the
many ideas.
The next episode.
So many ideas.
Fully walking podcast.
Here's a question. If you can reply to us one way or another, is this a good name for a new podcast? Any God-given table.
Think about it. We're at a different table this week. Next week, God only knows where.
That could be good. Any God-given table. Any God-given table.
Any God-given table.
The AGGT podcast. AGT podcast. That's brilliant.
I believe you abbreviate everything but podcast.
The AGT
Podcast.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
If you're on Apple
Mm-hmm.
devices, you're in that ecosystem. They love talking about the ecosystem, don't they? Apple.
Do they?
Yeah. Wow. It's always the ecosystem, Chris. Don't worry about why did you buy a fucking £25,000 computer? Because it's the ecosystem.
Sorry, just before you go on about Apple, my brother was in Belfast during the week, and he was complaining that they were walking through Victoria Square, the Apple store. The queue to get into the Apple store was preposterous. It was like hundreds of people long. They had Apple employees outside standing with a thermometer, and then they had fully clothed, fully suited guys in the store that were spraying you down with antibacterial spray. They were only allowing 2 in at a time, and still they queued. Why? Why do you need to go into the Apple store?
Okay. Podcast idea. Write this down.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Apple.
Oh,
we're going to talk about Apple.
I would love to.
Why they do the things they do and how they get away with it and why it works. That is classic, right? What they're doing there is it's that thing, Chris. It's artificial, thing. You don't have enough of it. I can't think of. There's a really fancy way of saying this, and I can't think of it. God love me, I can't think.
Say
of
it again. I wasn't listening there. Go.
It's like artificial scarcity. Artificial scarcity.
Oh yeah, when you make people believe that they need to be
exactly
or do a certain thing.
Only 2 people can get in at once, so you have to line up.
Yeah.
And then people see people lining up outside Apple, and they're like. Apple must be good if people are willing to line up outside.
They make you believe that they want to. I mean, 50 of those people could have been Apple employees that were just told line up.
Probably not, but they just they're happy to make people wait because that just reinforces the belief that Apple is worth waiting for.
But what I'm saying is, during this whole COVID Can you imagine the work that has to go into that shop when 2 people leave and you got to sanitize everything and disinfect everything?
Sanitize the people coming in, sanitize them going out.
That's insane. Why do you need a queue?
And then you go to Tesco's down the road and everyone's just walking around with no mask on or anything.
When I read the Steve Jobs books, it completely opened my eyes to like how Apple worked as an organization.
They have like a philosophy.
Some news that I had from last week was about, sorry, I know we're getting a bit off track here, but bear with us. Did you see that they took down the Fortnite servers, the Fortnite thing from their...
Yep.
They took down the servers from their app store basically, so you can't
get Fortnite on your iPhone anymore.
And did you see the video that Fortnite made in retaliation? The whole Macintosh, the old school.
Yeah, they threw it to the thing. Yeah,
that was brilliant.
It was a good. I actually haven't seen it.
Good.
I only seen like a news article.
That's crazy. Like.
Yeah. Apple have the resources to go to war with Epic, and they probably will.
Apple have the resources to go to war with what
they go to war with like Europe.
Remember, like 2 years ago, there was this rumor that, well, not a rumor, but that Apple and Disney were going to coincide and live together and breathe together.
If they did that, like
that's a global entity.
You ever hear about the anti-competition like laws and stuff? I don't think that would be allowed to exist. No. Like I think at that point
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like Google get done with it all the time. You know when you look on Google and it's like,
so you can't just partner with everybody?
No, because then who's going to compete with you if you've bought everybody? You can just do what you want.
It's a monopoly.
It's a monopoly.
Jeez.
And you can just go, actually, you know what? Do you remember how you used to be able to use any search engine on your computer? Well, now it's just Google because we own Microsoft and we own Apple, so you just don't get a choice.
But isn't it up to other competitors to deal with this?
Yeah, but if you buy out like 90% of the market, there's no way 10% can ever. There's no way 10% that's split between different groups
can compete with
so
the 90% of 2.
1%ers trying to fight 90%. There's no way it can work. So you have to have some sort
of.
What
if can't they make like not petitions but like cases against it saying that they're doing it to better like humanity and things like that?
Yeah, they do stuff like that. They're like it's not anti-competition because we're not trying to like increase our share in like if it was Google web searches. We're trying to do this in a completely different field, which is I don't know. You know they have Google have their hands in so many different
that's
things.
insane. Imagine that would just be a global super force. Like.
Yeah. It couldn't possibly happen, I don't think. But anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
Circling right.
Yeah, let's get back. Let's go. Bring it back.
If you're on an Apple device,
sorry.
Give us a rating, please, on Apple Podcasts. That's where I was going with that. And if you're not on Apple, I don't think Spotify have anything like that for the minute, but if you can give us, like a thumb up, you can rate that episode higher, and that helps us get out there. If you're using something like Podcast Addict, you can review us there. Stitcher, you can review us there. Podchaser, if you really, really want to give us a good review, go on to Podchaser.
Deezer.
Set yourself up there and give us a review on there. Anything that gives us a little bit more...
Just a little bit more traction in the community, yeah. And if you want to get in touch with us, just search for the social media handle, Empty Promise Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We do promise to be more active there.
It's right here.
We have failed you. I failed you. But thank you, honestly, from the bottom of our hearts to everybody that does contribute. It just makes this so much more worthwhile every week. No, even if it's just a message.
Yeah, even if it's just good for you.
Good for your podcast. In London long ago, people were being killed and the public didn't know. Who was Jack the Ripper, you ask? The bobbies at the time were all brought to task. A man named Abilene investigated the case. He and his men began the chase. In 1888, all this occurred. The evidence and suspects have always been blurred. The killings were gruesome. The victims were slaughtered. Fathers lost sons. Mothers lost daughters. Many suspects came to pass, but Jack was never caught. Who was Jack the Ripper? Now conclusions can be sought. So the killings will remain a mystery till the end of time. Was he a descendant of yours or a relative of mine?
My God.
My God, here we go.
That's beautiful.
Here we go.
Where's that from?
I'm not going to lie, I googled Jack the Ripper poetry.
There's a wide range of poetry based on Jack
the Ripper. It comes from Tell Me Strange Things, a book from Mark Reardon.
Mark Reardon sounds very familiar.
Doesn't it? Reardon's just a familiar name, I think. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready? Just lock your doors. You listen to this at night, God help you. God fucking help you. I wouldn't listen to this at night.
This is the original Boogeyman.
Oh, yeah. Well, it really is.
Maybe not the original, but this is a Boogeyman.
So D, Jack the Ripper. We've heard the name. Everybody's heard the name.
Yeah.
But I don't think everybody really fully realizes who this person was.
Who this person was and what they did.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Because I always heard of Jack the Ripper, and I was like vaguely attributed. I knew he was like a bad guy. What was he doing? Was he killing people maybe?
Yeah.
Or was he was being investigated? Or he was like a man in the shadows, a boogeyman, like we said. I never really knew what he was.
I honestly thought he was fictional.
The lines have been blurred. I got that over the years.
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes. There's stories about Sherlock Holmes tracking down Jack the Ripper. I almost said Jack Reacher again.
Yeah.
And again, he's like blurred right into like literary world.
There's actually people, I don't know if you find this, called ripperologists.
Ripperology.
Yeah, that's a thing. It's a real thing. People who still hunt the person who the case is still very much open.
It's unsolved.
It's an ongoing.
You know?
Yeah.
To this day. And again, it's another thing I didn't really appreciate like when this all happened. I knew it happened a long time ago. How long? Like 100 years. 1,000 years. I know it's not 1,000 years, but you know, when did this happen? And you know, what is the backdrop of Jack the Ripper?
Yeah. Well, before we start that, let's talk a bit about Jack the Ripper, where he was based, where he came from, what we know about him kind of as a person before we get into what he actually did. So, as the poem said, 1888, which takes us back to Victorian England. So there's your scene already. People in long kind of frilly dresses, men wearing top hats, you know,
gas lamps,
Queen Victoria era,
foggy, smoggy London.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to go to Whitechapel, London, which is the East End of London. Yeah. And what did you call it? Isn't there? Did you have a name earlier? It was Whitechapel, London, East End. There's no other name. No, I think that's it.
I don't think so. No.
But before we do, it's important to note, this is what I thought was interesting, that this kind of East End was like really badly poverty stricken.
Yeah.
They were really desolate slum,
exactly,
if you like, of England. Just
basically a slum.
Mm-hmm. So there was like, it was always kind of wet and crowded, and crime was always through the roof, and 450,000 people, I think, it held.
Really dense.
Yeah.
Just lots of people, lots of immigrants, people who had nowhere else to go,
exactly.
just residing in this area.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like a hotbed for crime, people taking advantage of people. Similarly, like prostitution was rampant in the area. It was kind of like the bad part of town.
Yeah. So much so that women adapted to the rough, tough climate, often by carrying weapons with them when they went out at night. At this time, there was a lot of Jewish immigrants that came in and lived around the East End, and the English weren't particularly fond of this kind of taking jobs, and
a lot of anti-Semitism in the area.
Yeah. So was Jack a product of this environment? Did he even live in the East End? There is a theory that he was a more upper class gentleman.
He was a visitor to the slums.
Who came into the slums to carry out his work in the night. For easy victims, basically.
Because there was plenty of people, and there were so many people. Like one missing from 450,000. It's not a lot.
Yeah,
drop in the ocean.
Now, I listened to a podcast during the week there when we suggested doing this topic, and they were talking about new research. I'm not sure how new, but suggested that Jack lived in Flower and Dean Street, it's called, which would have put him right in the center of the action. And one of the popular kind of theories behind this was that when like these killers or these serial killers tend, to kill or to pick their victims, they tend to hunt in the territory that they know best. Yeah, which puts him right in the center, and he kind of could just branch out from there. He knew the area. That's what this theory suggests. Now we're not saying that that's right by any in any case. Desperate desire for better life, especially in the East End, can turn into anger, can turn into negative outlets. At the time, the only kind of real outlets were bars with drinking. You had prostitution as well. And if he didn't drink or turn to prostitution, it may have been that his anger turned into this murderous rage, and then to gruesome, grotesque kind of murders. Drinking and fighting was the norm in the East End, and gin and beer were the two big. Gin was massive back then. Something else. Most people didn't tend to own or rent places to live. Instead, they rented beds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they didn't actually own houses or apartments as we would know them. They just basically rented a bed for the night.
Yeah, like like a group lodging thing.
Lodging, yeah. Standard fare would be about 10 by 13 feet, which is like just the size of the room. Entire families crowded into these rooms, so soft and clean were not really the norm. Somewhere to lay their head at night. In fact, the poorest people were given the option to sleep upright with a rope around their neck attached to a wall.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't that insane?
Around their neck as well?
Yeah, there's pictures of this. Like if you look it up, it just looks like a load of nooses along a wall, but in fact that's just where people slept, and the noose was to stop them from falling over.
They just had the
only way they could sleep. Imagine being so tired and so exhausted that you just sleep standing up with a noose. Yeah, isn't it?
And you pay for the privilege,
of course,
as well.
Yeah, of course. Jobs were limited and times were desperate, so women often turned to sex work as a source of income.
Mm-hmm.
At its peak, during Jack's spree, there's estimated at around 1,200 sex workers, which in amongst 450,000, it's not a whole pile, but I guess for sex workers, it's. I think that's a lot. I don't really have statistics to go on here. I don't know if it's a lot or not. But nonetheless, he left a small dent that would leave a lasting impression.
Excuse me.
Before we get into the killings and his spree, I want to talk about East End that had a very maze-like complexity of streets.
Yeah.
So when you picture this place, I'm kind of picturing. Well, what are you picturing? East End.
I'm picturing like small, like crooked little alleyways.
Have you seen the Sherlock
streets.
Holmes movies?
Yeah,
That's what I
exactly.
picture.
Cobble streets, tall buildings.
Diagon Alley from Harry Potter style stuff.
Yeah,
that kind of.
Cramped.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we already got the impression that things are very cramped. I'm imagining the buildings are all very cramped as well, and everything's kind of through all their.
Yeah. Not only would there have been streets and small alleyways, but most notably there was always tiny passageways between lodgement houses and shops that were literally just gaps between buildings where they would have like gaps no wider. You just squeeze through.
Yeah. Just gaps. They're not alleyways. They're just there because the buildings were built that way. Yeah. Picture. It's a slum. It literally is quite definitively a slum.
Yeah. And then it comes back to did Jack know about these places? Did he know this layout well? Did he blueprint it, or did he just act on a whim kind of thing? And just make it up as he went along. But that's what we're gonna discuss.
This is it.
Yeah. It's important though that the killings. There could be 10 killings linked to Jack the Ripper, but only 5 are called the canonical.
The canonical 5.
Canonical 5, meaning that they can be linked to just one man, which is Jack.
We're pretty certain that this was
Jack
the
Ripper.
The Ripper.
The others could have been carried out by other people. It is unlikely, but we're going to focus, I think, on the 5.
Yeah, that's what we have.
Okay.
And really, it's kind of the most interesting thing about these 5 is that they can be so tightly linked together. And if you were to put this happened in 2010, it would be so clearly. We're all very familiar with the phenomenon of serial killers these days.
Oh, yeah.
We had it kind of this all came up through in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s in America, and your Ted Bundys and your
the Golden State Murderer, Ted Bundy.
Serial killers became an understood phenomenon. We're in 1888. So they are not an understood phenomenon.
That's not a thing,
Exactly. So in many ways, Jack the Ripper was the first serial killer, and he's not technically the first serial killer because actually I looked into this. Serial killers and serial killings actually go back a long, long, long way.
Really?
Yeah. Some people speculate that the idea of vampires and werewolves descend from people who are committing these repeated sort of heinous crimes, mutilating people and stuff. So they kind of created an explanation for these horrific things.
Oh, this was 1888. So this was
turn of the century.
So slave trade would have been
not so much.
It was later. It was 1890. That'd be right. Wasn't it just coming into the 1900s? Slave.
No, slave trade would have been over by now, probably.
Would it?
Yeah.
I always thought it ran to the 1900s.
War was
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was 1860 or something.
Why do I always think slave trade went to right to the...
It probably did in certain places of the world, but yeah, not so much...
Because I was going to say that you could have had a quote-unquote serial killing during those times, but it doesn't matter. Let's get back to it. Let's get into the...
the earliest recorded serial killer was a guy from China.
Ooh.
Liu Pengli, son of an emperor who killed somewhere in the region of 100 people. In ancient China, like 400
100 people.
BC, this is recorded. So serial killers, not understood, but certainly around. So don't believe it's a modern phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Jack the Ripper, I think, is definitely, he's like epitome of a serial killer, and you'll see whenever we talk about like the actual murders that he committed, just how clear that is and how they link together. But I think the important thing about him was that it was a media like sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had a name, Jack the Ripper. Like they named this killer.
Yeah.
He was showing up, week by week. It was in the press, it was in the newspapers. Highly populated city like London, word spreads fast.
Yeah.
Gossip.
Yeah.
And it's kind of how he became a bit of a myth as well.
Mm-hmm.
And how like maybe he
the man, the myth, the legend.
Exactly.
This is the epitome of that.
I mean, we have 5 murders that were, they're pretty confident that was committed by one person, but there was 10, 20, 50 other murders that were all linked back to Jack the Ripper because of kind of how the word of mouth was spreading.
Now, weren't these murders? They were. Everybody seems to think that Jack the Ripper was kind of around for like years, but his murders were all quite condensed, isn't that right?
Really narrow period of time.
Isn't it? Am I right in saying that it's like
just
August to October?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically the month of September.
So September, yeah.
Plus change.
So we're not talking like years or months here. We're talking weeks, matter of weeks, days even, when these killings took place.
Like you said, there are other murders that are kind of associated with him, but we're not confident they were him. There was 11 murders that were included in the London Met Police investigation, which they dubbed them the Whitechapel murders.
Yeah.
And so there was 11 of those that they were investigating in relation, but can cast reasonable doubt on most of those other ones apart from these canonical 5 that you've already mentioned.
Yeah.
The reason they can link these together, these 5, is because they had a fairly clear MO of what this guy was doing. What the Ripper was doing.
Yeah.
So he had like a very clear thing. It was a deep slash to the throat. Usually 2 slashes to the throat, followed by abdominal and genital mutilation, removal of internal organs, and progressive facial mutilations.
Okay, so this guy is completely like this. These are grotesque murders.
This is the work of a psychopath, for sure. Like not attached to what they're doing. They're just playing with human flesh.
Another important thing, I don't know if we've spoken about it yet, but the killings, these 5 killings that we're going to talk about, all women.
All prostitutes.
All ladies of the night.
Yeah, all ladies of the night, or women who not necessarily were prostitutes, who were kind of out late.
Yeah.
All of these happened late at night, around the weekend.
Yeah.
Kind of out drinking, partying, kind of time of the week. Most of them, I actually think they all were sort of prostitutes or had links to prostitution, which isn't massively uncommon. We again talked about this is a really poverty-stricken area. Yeah. So a lot of women had to resort to prostitution just to get by.
Yeah, of course. And crime was so high already in East End. A
few extra deaths here and there probably went unnoticed, but these did not. So the initial murders, the first 2 prior to the canonical 5, they happened in early August. Yeah. But it wasn't until Mary Ann Nichols was discovered 3:40 a.m. on Friday the 31st of August, the very end of August, 1888. Yeah. She was found on Bucks Row in Whitechapel. Yeah. Now, this was, for all intents and purposes, this is number 1.
This is Jack the Ripper's first
associated with him. She had been seen alive approximately 1 hour before the discovery of her body. So it's 3:40 in the morning. She had been spotted alive at 2:40. So an hour ago, she was alive. Just kind of how soon she was found. Her throat was severed by 2 deep cuts, like we already discussed. One of which completely severed all of the tissue down to her vertebrae.
Oh, right. That is a proper. That's her entire. She's more or less been decapitated here.
Exactly. Absolutely brutal.
Lobotomy.
Her vagina had been stabbed twice. The lower part of her abdomen was partially ripped open by a deep, jagged wound, causing her bowels to protrude. Nichols was kind of like the epitome of what the Ripper was targeting. She was struggling to get by. She was having a rough time. She suffered from alcoholism, and she prostituted herself to make money just to survive. She'd recently just been kicked out of her boarding because she couldn't pay to live there. Wow. And she made some sort of comment that suggested she'll go and she'll be able to earn that money tonight. Yeah. And was never seen again. Alive. Wow. And this was like the first murder in the canonical 5. 1 week later,
Yeah.
Saturday 8th of September,
Yep.
1888. So only 1 week has passed.
Yeah.
The body of Annie Chapman was discovered at 6 a.m. Just like Nichols, her throat had been slashed twice. Her abdomen had been cut entirely open. So last time it had been sort of just severed.
Just severed.
Her complete abdomen was cut right open. A section of her flesh from her stomach was placed upon her left shoulder, and another section of skin and flesh, plus her small intestines, had been removed and placed above her right shoulder.
So it was. This was more carefully placed.
Yeah.
What's the word like?
It's almost ritualistic.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
they have like kind of laid things out, everything in its place, kind of thing. Which again is something you see like with modern day serial killers is like a common theme.
Yeah.
You wouldn't close that door, would you?
Okay.
That creak is for ambience
Mm-hmm.
to set the
We
mood.
should play some creepy musical.
Should play some creepy
I could do
music.
that. Yeah.
So Annie Chapman is the second victim. Her autopsy also revealed that her uterus and sections of her bladder and vagina had been completely removed from her body. So like really has went like next level here, mutilation, and sort of desecrating the body.
Yeah. Which, so we're thinking now in terms of number of killings. This is number 2. So maybe Jack's got a taste for this.
Exactly. It seems
He's
that
starting to step it up a bit.
been a
He's a
bit
bit
of
more
escalation.
confident. Yeah. Yeah.
It is interesting though. Chapman had last been seen at 5:30 a.m. So she was found dead at 6. She'd been spotted half an hour earlier, 5:30 a.m. in the company of a dark-haired man wearing a brown deerstalker hat
Mm-hmm.
and a dark overcoat. So half an hour early she'd been spotted with a man. And a lot of people seen this as the first kind of real, potential culprit of the crimes.
Oh, this man that she was
man, yeah.
with. Right enough, yeah. Last known.
But obviously, like very few details to go on. Like a man, dark hair, hat. It was night.
There's a lot of dark-haired men around the East End.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The next event was called the double event, or is commonly referred to as the double event.
The double event.
Exactly. The Ripper next struck on the 30th of September 1888. So his previous victim was on the 8th of September. So almost, better part of a month has passed.
Mm-hmm.
This time he left 2 bodies in his wake.
Jesus.
Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. So Stride's body was discovered at approximately 1 a.m. with a single clear-cut incision measuring 6 inches across her neck. But in this scenario, there was no further mutilation. No other.
It was just.
Her neck had just been cut and she'd been left to die. Which is interesting because it doesn't really fit in with the rest of the MO.
I'm just reading there about that one. It says, the clear-cut incision 6 inches across her neck, which had severed her left carotid artery and her trachea before terminating beneath her right jaw. So if I've got that right, straight across, jugular gone, and then it's just like a big,
just the whole
straight
the full width of her neck.
Oh my goodness.
Left for dead. No further mutilation. Just the severed neck. That's all that happened.
Because of this no further mutilation, is this where like this it might not have been the Ripper's?
Well, this is.
Do you know what I mean?
But
we had already spoke that he leaves kind of like a clear cut.
He's a clear MO. The reason that this is considered part of the canonical 5, even though it's not fitting with the rest of the murders, is because, remember, this is the quote-unquote double event. So why did he kill 2 people on this night when he only normally kills 1 person?
Maybe she was in the wrong place, wrong time. Maybe he went after...
People are... The speculation is that he was interrupted.
Yes, that's what I mean. He was killing Catherine Eddowes or whoever?
He was killing Elizabeth Stride, and he wasn't able to perform this kind of ritual that he does.
Because he was interrupted by someone popping through an alleyway.
Yeah. Bang. He didn't get time to do what he needed to do.
Yeah.
And so later literally 3/4 of an hour later, 45 minutes later.
Look at us being detectives.
I know, we know everything. Don't doubt it at all. 45 minutes later, Catherine Eddowes' body was found.
Mm-hmm.
Her throat was severed and her abdomen ripped open by a long, deep, jagged wound, just like the previous victims. Her intestines had been placed over her right shoulder. The left kidney and the major part of the uterus had been removed.
Jesus.
Her face had been disfigured and her nose severed, her cheek slashed and cuts measuring 1/4 of an inch. and a half an inch respectively, vertically incised through each of her eyelids. So he really like went to the next level here. And
Yeah, this does seem more in line with Jack the Ripper. If we're thinking about, his first victim, which was almost shabby in comparison to this. Second one got a wee bit more grotesque. We're starting to place items of organs and internals. And now we've got like this removing of uterus, eyelids being slashed. Jesus, this is really grotesque
this thing
stuff.
Like placing the organs around the victim as well, which is kind of like happening more and more.
Yeah. So who was the other victim? Sorry, the one that kind of was in the wrong place.
Elizabeth Stride.
Yeah, that definitely just seems like a wrong place, wrong time kind of move.
I think
of this.
I think she was the intended victim.
Oh, you think?
He didn't get to perform. He didn't get to do what he was going to do.
Oh, so you think it's that way? So you think she was the intended victim, and this other lady appears?
No. I think she was the intended victim. He killed her. Was about to do his little ritual, and somebody, a random stranger, anybody, was in close proximity, heard a noise, and he took off. But because he hadn't satiated his need,
he goes after.
He picked another one.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
That's what I think. There was a 45-minute gap between, and they were found in different parts. They were found in different areas. Yeah. They weren't found together. So I think it was something like that. I mean, it could well be the case, and people have argued that Elizabeth Stride just isn't related. It just was a coincidence. Somebody killed her that night. Wow. And then Jack the Ripper happened to be also on the prowl that night as well. So there could be only 4. Yeah. It is linked together because of how close
in proximity they were.
Proximity and time that they were together. And because again it was his kind of like movement or his signature to cut the throat first. It's actually something we haven't really talked about yet, but typically the post-mortems of these bodies reveal that the victims were dead before he mutilated them. So he cut their throat in order to kill them.
And then perform mutilations.
Once they passed, then he was performing the sort of his little ritual. But yeah, it's like we've already said, like it seems like it's evolving. It's kind of like escalating his little ritual, what he's doing. Yeah. The post-mortem examiner of Catherine Eddowes commented saying that it would have taken at least 5 minutes for him to do all of the mutilation that he did. So it wasn't, it's not spur of the moment. It's not just blood rush to the head and he does this thing and then...
This is planned.
He does it. He takes his time. It's clinical and it's kind of
5 minutes is a long time to be cutting somebody up.
Exactly. You imagine sitting for 5 minutes and you could be caught. You're in the middle of London, for crying out loud. High, densely populated London. Again, a man was spotted in the area who they presume or they thought was Eddowes. So somebody saw a woman who looked like Eddowes with a man who was described as fair-haired and shabbily dressed. So kind of goes against the dark-haired sighting from the previous case.
But when you say shabbily dressed, that's almost what I pictured Jack the Ripper to look like.
This is it. I mean, if
everybody's got to start building their own kind of picture of this Jack character in their head. I picture this almost boogeyman, like crooked nose, hunched back.
I mean, like it kind of comes back to the thing: is he from? Is he a product of this little Whitechapel
of East End, the slums,
or was he a outsider, rich,
well-to-do, and this is how he gets his kicks?
This is his playground, so to speak. Some people describe there has been. This is one of the problems with trying to find him at the time was. It was so many conflicting descriptions of who they were with and kind of not reliable evidence. Another kind of interesting thing about Eddowes was the second of the double victims. Yeah. Her bloodied apron, so like her apron that she was wearing, which covered in her blood, was found at the entrance to a tenement in Galston Street, Whitechapel, at 2:55 a.m. So a little bit after the body was found. A chalk inscription on the wall directly above this piece of apron read, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing," which is kind of like a slur against Judaism, and it kind of reflects the anti-Semitic views that we talked about that was kind of prevalent in this area. Yeah, it's not clear if this was intentional, like the Ripper placed the apron here and wrote this on the wall in chalk to try and blame it, or maybe it was his frustration. He had these views that the Jews were responsible for his hardships in life, or something like that.
They've taken the jobs. I'm out of work.
Yeah, for some sick reason, he's kind of blaming this, or this is, as we talked about it. It's a pretty anti-Semitic area anyway. This isn't uncommon to see
slander.
and it could have just been he dropped the apron there
Yeah.
for no rhyme or reason.
Jesus.
There was no other kind of other links towards that. That's just one isolated.
And there was no
instance.
other graffiti at any other of the crime scenes. Nothing else
Nothing
said.
of note, you know.
Yeah.
So the double event brought his, we're assuming, total up to 4.
Tally up to 4.
Right. This is the canonical cases, potentially more, but the earlier cases really. I mean, didn't we talk about the earlier cases before I go on to this final potentially case? The earlier cases that I read about were one of them was really not his MO at all.
Really?
It was a woman who had been strangled,
Right.
and literally has never, none of the other cases have anything to do with strangling or anything like that, so didn't really fit that. And the other was multiple stab wounds was the cause of death, which again, it wasn't specific to the neck and it wasn't specific to the abdomen, which he normally did. It was just multiple, seemingly random stab wounds.
You got to think though as well that maybe like they could have been linked, and maybe that was him. How do you put this?
Baby steps.
Trying out to see what he liked or what his MO was going to become. You know,
exactly.
Strangulation. No, maybe a cut to the throat might be better. We'll try that next time, and then just this rush goes up. I don't know the mind of serial killers, but
exactly, yeah.
You got to believe that this is what it is, and maybe had it progressed further, who knows what we would have seen,
Yeah, and it could also be the case that when he did those things, those bodies were just never found.
Yeah.
They were disposed of or whatever.
Yeah.
He was more careful back then.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of, I think the reason that these 5 are always focused on as the main ones is because they're the ones that we know probably committed by the same person.
Yeah.
They all share, common details, and beyond that, they also happen within such a short period of time.
Has there ever been a theory that it has been more than one person?
I mean, I think it's more a theory. It's more kind of, you can explain away a lot of the Jack the Ripper deaths by saying it's a lot of random people who were not planning it, just people who died. Jack the Ripper was about, he gets blamed for it. For these ones, I think because when you look at like modern study of psychopaths and serial killers, they do the, why would a separate person do the same like ritual? Would they get the same gratification?
Yeah, true. Yeah, okay.
As the individual, but I mean, potentially. This is the problem with like this is 1888, so like they don't have like this knowledge, and they don't they don't have the way to like investigate this.
Not the way we encode serial killers nowadays, anyway. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like that's all been discovered in the last like 50 years.
5th case.
The 5th and arguably final case, and also the most gruesome.
Yeah.
Worst case. There's pictures of this.
Yes. I will put the pictures up on screen. Yeah.
I mightn't.
Yeah, you think?
They are pretty grisly.
They're pretty, yeah.
It's pretty heavy stuff. There would be
That'd be on screen. Maybe in the description.
Faint of heart, do not look.
Yeah. If you're listening to the audio version, I'll just try to explain the pictures.
Describe it in as much detail as possible.
Oh God, there's blood everywhere.
The final victim was Mary Jane Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
She was discovered lying on the bed in a single room where she lived at 13 Miller's Court, 10:45 a.m. on Friday, the 9th of November, 1888. So we're now in the start of November. This all began at the end of August. So we're just slightly over a week. There's some haunting ice cream.
Jesus, that was creepy. I was like, that's an ice cream truck. And then all of a sudden it just got louder and creepier. And now I'm just picturing Jack the Ripper. That's terrifying, Dave.
That is terrifying.
Only because we're talking about this.
Yeah.
On any other given day, that would be fine. Ice cream!
Happy ice cream, it means great things.
That's terrifying, Dave.
When you hear that little jingle and you're talking about a horrendous murder.
Yeah.
It's hard to see it any other way.
So Mary Jane Kelly discovered on her bed, 10:45
a.m.
Yeah.
Her face had been hacked beyond all recognition. So her face had been completely and utterly mutilated. We hadn't seen this before. No. We'd seen it somewhat with the previous victim, but now her face completely destroyed, literally unrecognizable. Her throat severed down to the spine. Her abdomen almost emptied of its organs. Her uterus, kidneys, and one breast placed beneath her head, almost like a pillow. Other viscera from her body placed beside her foot, about the bed, and sections of her abdomen and thighs upon a bedside table. The heart was missing from the scene. So her heart had been taken with the murder, had been taken away. A post-mortem revealed that her death occurred sometime between 2 and 8 a.m. the previous night. She wasn't discovered till 10. which is actually one of the latest discoveries. Like a lot of the bodies have been discovered much sooner, like nearly fresh after the death. It's also the first of the murders to happen indoors.
Yes.
Away from sort of prying eyes.
That's absolutely horrific.
They really are. They're absolutely gruesome pictures. And like it's there. I mean, if you can see that, if you're going to put that up on screen, it really is like gruesome. That is,
that looks like something from a horror. Yeah, there's no point in saying it looks like something from a horror movie. This is real shit. This is
real life horror.
Jesus.
It's absolutely vile. Like It's kind of like it really is the peak. It's like it's the climax of his spree, because he goes as far as he's ever went before, and amazingly, after this, silence.
That's it.
There's nothing there's not even an alleged murder until December of this year. It goes completely silent. So from going from 5 people within like 6 weeks, there's just complete silence. So
that's insane.
It is, apparently the end of his murder spree.
Yeah.
These canonical 5, these 5 murders are kind of like his. I guess you could call them his work.
Yeah.
This is what he's
Jack the Ripper's work.
And he probably would have been proud of it. I mean, the way he was kind of like laying everything and laying everything out. It's kind of crazy, horrific, of course. But
the fact that people or researchers have poised that these murders were undoubtedly the work of like a single killer, not even not
multiple.
Yeah, an unknown larger number of killers. The canonical 5 is a Ripper myth. And that definitely 3 cases can be linked to the same perpetrator, whereas Stride and Kelly were also murdered by the same individual. That's Jesus.
Yeah, it's kind of mad. Like, I mean, some people are a lot more stringent. They're saying like, unless it's like got all the telltale signs of the Ripper, then it's not him. Other people are like, you could say all of these were committed by one person. I have a little bit of detail about the other murders that came after.
Yes,
as well.
The later Whitechapel murders. Strangulation, that'd be right.
Strangulation, potentially suicide. That was Rose Milett. That was
hung herself.
December 1888. July 1889, almost a year later, Alice Mackenzie was stabbed twice in the neck. Which is his MO, but no mutilation. There was sort of a theory that was a copycat murderer or someone who's trying to get the blame put on Jack the Ripper so that he wouldn't be sort of considered.
The Pinchin Street torso, have you got that?
The Pinchin Street torso, I don't actually have much on it.
Decomposed, headless and legless torso of an unidentified woman aged between 30 and 40 discovered beneath a railway arch in Pinchin Street, Whitechapel on the 10th of September 1889. Bruising around the victim's back, hip and arm indicated that sorry, what was I reading? Indicated that the decedent had been extensively beaten shortly before her death. The victim's abdomen was also extensively mutilated, although her genitals had not been wounded. She appeared to have been killed approximately 1 day prior to the discovery. The dismembered sections of her body are believed to have been transported to the railway arch hidden under an old chemist.
Just gruesome things, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and like stuff like that, you could maybe attribute. You could say like this guy was still out and he was still active. He just got better at covering up.
Yeah.
He did kind of progress from out on the open street, just playing middle of the day, and then he kind of like grew towards doing it indoors. He did marry Kelly in her room. Yeah. And left it there, and maybe he started to get good at like getting rid of the bodies and hiding them and stuff.
It's funny. I've got another piece here on Francis Cole.
Yeah.
Now this is interesting because we mentioned this before in our theory as to of one of the canonical 5. But at 2:15 a.m. on the 13th of February 1891, there was a discovery of a 25-year-old prostitute named Frances Coles lying beneath a railway arch at Swallow Gardens, Whitechapel. Her throat had been deeply cut, but her body was not mutilated, leading some to believe that Thompson had disturbed her assailant, which is kind of what we said with Francis.
No. It's the first of the double.
Yes.
Elizabeth Stride.
That's it. So, this woman happened to just happen upon this killer in action, and
I think what happened there was police what do you call them, POs?
PO? No.
PC. A PC happened upon the scene.
Right,
and,
okay.
he actually discovered her alive, Frances Cole.
Oh, shit, right,
She was
okay.
not dead at the time of her discovery. She died later in hospital.
Wow.
And they think, he was interrupted and that could have been the Ripper caught almost through it. I think with that one, they actually found a likely candidate for that, someone who she'd been arguing with in public.
Right, okay.
But he was never condemned for the murders of the Ripper or anything like that. There was just no evidence there. And actually, in general, there just was no evidence there. I mean, talking about the murders that we did see, there's like patterns that you can see the whole way through. Like each of the 5 murders were perpetrated at night. Yeah, fair enough. On or close to the weekend. Yeah, either at the end of the month or a week or two after. Mutilations become increasingly severe.
All women too.
All women too.
All women, all prostitutes or ladies of the night workers.
I mean, you could say
sex workers.
Easy target, or do they have some sort of sexual perversion aspect to this? Yeah. Mutilations become increasingly severe. I said that as the murders proceeded. Apart from Stride, who the attacker may have been interrupted. And obviously he moved on to sort of mutilating the face, which is not something he started doing. And kind of like there was this like escalation that went throughout the crime spree. Typically or generally, people consider Mary Jane Kelly to be the final victim. And it's assumed that the crimes ended because of the culprit's death, imprisonment, institutionalization, or emigration. So potentially someone found this guy, not linking him back to the murders, but found him and were concerned enough about him or he committed some other crime that he got caught and prosecuted for. There were theories that it was like people who came over, there was these like cattle boats that came over from Europe and they were only over for a couple of weeks and then they took off again.
Wow, so someone came with them?
Possibly. I think they checked that and there was none at that time. Like there was no like incoming things at that time, so it didn't really add up that way. But like in general, like the investigation that happened around this time was like, it was massive. It was a massive operation. So these 5
for this time, like
this time, like 1888, these 5 murders had all happened in like a month on a bit. Yeah, gap. So like the police were like, people were panicked, people were scared. The police were kind of like kicked into motion. They had to find this guy and stop him. Yeah. The press had picked it up and just like completely blown it up.
More than 2,000 people interviewed. 2,000 people interviewed. Upwards of 300 people were investigated and 80 people were detained at one point. So this is a manhunt. Like this is a proper
In 1888, I don't expect much from the police, to be honest.
No, they don't have the forensics that we have nowadays. They don't have that means.
They clearly went and did their homework though. They went and interviewed people and they checked out.
Interviews. You wouldn't even get 2,000. I know nowadays. Yeah, okay, never mind. That's a silly comparison. But yeah.
There was a £500 reward. I looked it up.
Yeah.
65,000 in today's money. For finding the killer.
Unfortunately, didn't I read that most of this investigation work or paperwork got destroyed?
It got in the Blitz.
The Blitz, it wasn't a fire. Yeah, it was the Blitz.
So a lot of like the documentation that was obtained during the investigation was lost. So what we have is kind of based on what remains of that, but it does show. Like at least it reveals some things, such as 2,000 people interviewed. Yeah. Most of the police kind of focused on butchers, slaughterers, surgeons, physicians, people who would cut up meat, essentially. Yeah.
And have access to these tools to cut up people.
Precisely. 76 butchers and slaughterers were visited.
Jesus.
And that inquiry encompassed all of their employees for the previous 6 months.
This is interesting as well. Figures including Queen Victoria actually thought the pattern of the murders indicated that the culprit was a butcher or a cattle drover. Oh yeah, that you said of one of the because Queen Victoria actually got involved in this investigation at one point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is how high profile this was.
Everybody was talking about it. It was in the news every day. Like, there's a whole thing about this, about the media kind of played their role in this in good ways and bad, because they kind of made a bit of hysteria about it. All of a sudden, there was people reporting, "I seen the Jack the Ripper. I saw Jack the Ripper. He was here. He was there," and there was so many conflicting reports. You couldn't find the one grain of truth amid all of the chaos. Yeah. Basically, there were no leads. No. They really didn't get anywhere with the investigation because there wasn't enough physical evidence to find. All of the sightings of them contradictory. There was no concrete thing. on what he looked like, where he was from.
Exactly. Yeah. Because again, going back to like, what we see nowadays in terms of like investigations, you don't have the forensic tools that we have. There was no fingerprinting, there was no DNA, there was no fingerprints on files. There was none of this. Like, it was just
CCTV.
It was pretty much just word of mouth. Like, exactly. I seen this. Someone had to see the murders taking place, and as we know, well, as we presume happened, when someone did see that, they got axed too. they got the throat cut and thrown in the gutter.
Well, this is it. I mean, but like, people saw them before and kind of saw sightings, and they saw like men in hoods and stuff. But you can't like take any of that to the bank because thousands of people look like that. And
they set up a vigilante. There was a vigilante group set up then, wasn't there?
There was, like, to maintain, to like look around, find suspicious behavior. Jesus. They had a separate award for information.
Do you think is that what spooked? Is that what spooked Jack?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so.
Do you think was it just a case of he's had his fill? He set out to do what? Maybe he did what he set out. No, he accomplished what he set out to do.
I mean, I think in that regard, either he got a lot better. Like, he got practice.
Jesus.
He got his practice in, and he got better hiding it. And maybe that pension one that you mentioned that was found 2 years later. Yeah. Maybe that was him.
Yeah.
Or he left. Like, he was not native. He was an immigrant.
Yeah. Was there ever any like cases of like these kind of murders appearing anywhere else? After that,
is it. Once you start saying that, I mean, this type of stuff does happen all over the world.
Yeah, you can't link it like that.
You can't say it with Jack the Ripper.
He moved to America, and now these cases
and there
belong
wasn't
to him.
The kind of globalization that we have, like,
True. Yeah. True.
For him to get to America would take months. Presumably on a boat. A couple, like, they did have some sort of like clues. For example, police surgeon Thomas Bond. He was asked to give his opinion on the extent of the murderer's surgical skill and knowledge. And he says, all 5 murders, no doubt, were committed by the same hand. So he says he could recognise that there was the same sort of...
The same kind of, the way that the bodies were cut, the way that, they were mutilated.
He also strongly opposed the idea that the murderer possessed any kind of scientific or anatomical knowledge.
So he says that this person didn't have an anatomical background. They
didn't know what they were doing. They were cutting. He says he didn't even think they had the technical knowledge of a butcher or a horse slaughter.
Wow.
Like, they really did not know like how to like cut up a human body. For want of a better way to express that.
Yeah.
Who
does, right?
They were just experimenting.
Yeah.
Concentration of the killings around weekends and public holidays within a short distance of each other indicated to many that the Ripper was a local. So he kind of think he was only striking at the weekends because he was working during the week, kind of thing.
Or maybe busiest times, streets were crowded,
well,
more crowded. Well. More. I don't know if it worked that way.
I think it did,
does prostitution be bigger at the weekends because people are blowing off steam from the work week?
The men aren't working. That's why people kind of thought that kind of makes sense. He's probably from here. I mean, you mentioned like the Maze-like network.
Surely he didn't just get lucky with, he didn't just go out on a whim, and each night was just, this was methodical planning, I would say. He knew the area, he knew where he would be seen, where he could escape to, what were the darkest alleys, so to speak.
So that was kind of like the argument that he was a local of Whitechapel.
Maybe he grew up there but moved away and knew the place.
How hard is it to get out of the sun though?
Yeah, true.
There is also the one that we talked about way earlier on, that he was a well-to-do guy from outside, a better part of London, who was venturing into Whitechapel to sort of hunt. People thought like it's a rich doctor who's going in to like kind of cut up us poor.
Yeah.
But that's probably not the case. Probably not the case because it seems like he didn't have any surgical knowledge whatsoever. There are many varied theories about the identity and profession of Jack the Ripper, but authorities are not agreed on any of them, and the number of named suspects the number of named suspects or like potential candidates reaches well over 100. And when you have 100 suspects, you basically have none.
Yeah.
Because you can't narrow that down.
Yeah.
Unless you have way more proof, which they don't have, unfortunately. The other thing, Chris, that I read up about
is this letters.
The letters.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So over the course of the Whitechapel murders, there was like hundreds of letters and postcards and things sent to, was it the police?
It was sent to the press.
The press?
Yeah, it was sent to the press. So the press had a big hand in all of this. We kind of touched on it already, but like they were...
And these were just letters just like that were involved in the case in some manner, like, or what do these letters contain?
Well, they were letters that, some letters were written from Jack, some letters were written about I saw Jack, etc.
And most were proved as either hoaxes or just not true.
Speculation. I mean, there's no way to prove that they were or they weren't.
True.
There was no good evidence to say that they were, apart from a couple of candidates. I think there's 3 letters that they kind of give serious consideration
Yes, that's right.
But like all of this was going through the press. Like all of this was going to the newspapers. And you can think of tabloid journalism today.
Oh yeah.
Like in 1888, this was the source. Like this was the source of the news. And they were publishing anything and everything about Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Because it was good for business.
Yeah.
And these letters were coming in thick and fast, and they were publishing them without really any care about, authenticity, accuracy, anything. There's a letter from Jack the Ripper, we're going to print it.
Yeah.
And we said, that helped, it kind of helped get awareness out about these murders. Yeah. But it also hurt the police investigation massively.
Yeah.
Because there's no
concrete evidence.
Exactly. It's just putting
following
more
up dead end,
fluff up into the air to try and, filter out. But
you want to talk about these letters? But talk about the 3, mainly the standouts.
I think the 2 that I actually found of interest were, there's 2 letters that could conceivably have been written by the murderer.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a bit of a reach, but it's interesting nonetheless to look at them. The most famous one is the Dear Boss letter. Which gained massive notoriety as it was received 3 days before the body of Eddowes was found. So this is the 4th victim, Eddowes, and he claimed in the letter that he was going to clip the lady's ears off. Yeah. And the body of Eddowes was found with her ear cut off and laid to the side. So people immediately thought that there's no way he could have predicted that. This has to be from the mind of the murderer. Yeah. Boasting about what he's going to do. And look, we've seen this happen in the modern day. Remember the Golden State murderer?
That's right.
Check out that podcast.
Yep.
You will hear about how he wrote letters to the police and he boasted about how he was going to kill people and what he was going to do. He had this kind of he was getting some sort of kick out of that. Yeah, yeah. So it's not unreasonable to think that they wrote letters and posted.
No, yeah, that's what serial killers do. This shit, you know, they want to get inside the police, and it's kind of pointing out their insecurities, kind of as a force. You can't catch me. I'm better than you.
Exactly. They literally think that they're uncatchable. They think they've got this so well planned out.
Wasn't in that letter? Didn't it say that the ears were going to be sent to the police, and that was never carried out?
That was never carried out. He did cut off one ear. Now the letter says cut her ears, or cut her. It says cut the lady's ears off, so ears plural. He only cut one ear and never carried out the promise that he was going to post them or send them to the police. So
even if that didn't happen, to even pick a body part such as an ear and say that's pretty not accurate, but it's a good guess.
It's a good guess. Yeah. I mean, it could be legit. I don't know if I'm convinced by it. The follow-up letter that was written in the same handwriting as this, it was received on the 1st of October, which was just right after the double murders. Yeah. On the 30th of September.
It's known as the Saucy Jack letter.
The Saucy Jack. Right. He's a saucy boy. This time he claims that he talked about the double killing. He mentioned that specifically in the letter. And again, people claimed, well, he could only have known that if he intended to kill 2 people. Yeah. But this time around, the letter was sent after the event. And it's not it's pretty likely that you would have heard about the double murders before the news the next day. If he was anywhere local, he would have heard about them.
Same handwriting though, yeah.
Same handwriting, but that would suggest that the first one was also a hoax.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I don't think the letters are interesting because they kind of it really raised the fucking bar in the media because now we have letters from the killer, and it would just start a whole media circus again. Yeah, but I don't know if this is the silver bullet that people wanted. I don't think this is the thing that says he was writing letters. Yeah. I don't necessarily believe he was. And there was a third letter. I didn't really cover it.
The From Hell?
Yeah.
So the From Hell letter was received by the leader of the vigilante committee that was set up on the 16th of October 1888. So after all the killings had taken place. The handwriting style is like that of the other 2, and it came in a small box in which this guy George Lusk discovered half of a human kidney preserved in spirits of wine. And we know that Edo's left kidney had been hacked out. Yeah. The writer claimed that he fried and ate the missing kidney half, but there's disagreement over the kidney. Some contend that it belonged to Edo's, while others argue that it was a macabre practical joke. The kidney was examined by Dr. Thomas Openshaw of the London Hospital, who determined that it was human and from the left side, but contrary to the false newspaper reports, he could not determine any other biological characteristics. So despite what the papers were saying, he couldn't tie this to Edo's.
Yeah. Could have been just a kidney.
A kidney.
Seems. I mean, it came after the.
It came after the whole thing. Yeah.
But
this is like an easier kind of thing. This fake as such, because you already know the details of what happened.
But you still got to go get a kidney from somewhere.
True. Who has just a human kidney lying about? You know.
Exactly.
Who has half a human kidney lying about?
Well, they ate the other half.
Yeah, and a left one at that too.
Yeah. But then I guess at that time, even morticians and stuff. I don't think like the disposal of bodies was like.
As you say though, like these killers get a kick off doing shit like this.
This is true, yeah. Like they like to boast, they like to show off that they can do this and get away with it. So potentially as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the letters. The problem was there were so many, like as you say, hundreds of letters. When there's hundreds of letters coming in and none of them can be verified, it just brings down the credibility of the few that actually could be certified. So. Kind of again, the fact that so many people were kind of in on this, sending in letters, and kind of hurt in the long run.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's a bizarre thing that happened in the 1888.
And this it's an open case. Nobody knows Jack the Ripper. Nobody knows. Do we even know for certain it was a man?
I think.
Or how are we to we don't
for definitively. But yeah. I think with the fact that like. Serial killers are vastly predominantly men.
I was going to say, like, would this person have had to be particularly strong? Like, would they have had, to take these women down? Were these big, were these women bigger women? Were they,
No, I don't think so, because you think about it as well. Like, he targeted prostitutes. He targeted the type of people he could say, come with me, and they would say yes, because they'd be offered money.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as you slit someone's throat, I mean, they're going to be yours. They're just a rag doll, basically.
He picked very easy targets. Like he didn't try and trick people. He did try and trick people. He didn't try and overpower people. He got them into place where he could.
As well, wasn't one of the few positives that kind of came out of this whole thing was it drew attention to the living conditions of the slums, which then over the next couple of decades were torn down and rebuilt.
Exactly.
So. Yeah. I mean,
people weren't just happy having these slums running out here anymore. They wanted them, fixed.
Yeah.
So I guess there was some positive. I mean, Whitechapel was it was breeding crime. It was breeding
poverty.
Murder, death. It was all happening.
Disease. Yeah.
So it's almost inevitable something this was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it kind of
there's no outlet. There's no outlet for these people. Your only outlet is drink, and then when you get fed up with drink or your anger hits a certain point, then what?
I actually think though. I think that this guy, to me, this is psychopathic behavior. It's not frustration. It's just kind of their brain is programmed that much.
Just wrong,
and they just never got They never grew up in the environment
That's it. We need to think what was his growing up, what was his living conditions like, and chances are, sorry, let me go back. When something like this happens, I know from just watching shows and things, they tend to go back and look at the serial killer's life growing up, what their conditions were like, and if Jack was a product of this place growing up, and he's seen the whole thing go to shit, and these
people dying,
so-called and these Jews coming in taking jobs and whatever. He would have been angry. He would have been angry at the whole system.
Yeah. As such. We see. I don't know, because I think serial killers just aren't. They don't respond that way.
You don't think?
Because they don't have that. They don't get mad at people for you pissed me off, I'm going to kill you. They're almost just
they're already all bred
emotional. Yeah. They're just you're the target,
and that's it.
That's just it. You're like an ant. But that's my interpretation. When I read this, that's the way it looks to me. It's just they're just specimens. It's almost like he's dissecting a frog on a table.
He's not a human being.
Yeah. And he's getting his kick out of it. He's getting it's gratifying him in some way.
It's scary the fact that he was never caught.
I mean, 1888, I'd say so many murderers, villains, awful people were just getting away with stuff.
I wonder when. That's a good thing to look into. When did forensics hit its turn a new turn down a new road, and like this is the.
Yes.
When did it start getting, you know, fingerprints on files, forensics, you know?
I think, like, one thing I did read is that, like, in general, the investigation against Jack the Ripper was, compared to modern policing standards, like, it wasn't far off par. Like, you know, they were
Quite
chasing down
positive,
people.
like.
They were, you know, tracing back all of their alibis, cross-examining people to make sure that things lined up. It's just the technical aspects of it. They just didn't have it. They couldn't just find fingerprints everywhere.
Yeah,
And they couldn't keep a
yeah.
record of them, etc. So, like, I don't know. I'd say it's later than we think. I'd say it's probably like 80s before things get like that proficient.
There's a film about it. Michael Caine played Jack the Ripper.
Michael Keaton or Michael Caine?
Caine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of it. Like my closing thing here is that despite all of this like massive investigation, media frenzy, Jack the Ripper showing up everywhere, and letters coming from left, right, and center, and all that shit, he kind of just, as you say, just disappeared.
Yeah.
He was never caught. Never found out.
Got
why
away
he
with
did
it.
Yeah, where he went to.
Yeah.
The records of the investigation were lost. He kind of slipped out of the real world, the physical world, and into art, literature,
Lore.
stories, lore. He's a myth.
Yeah.
Movies are made about
We
him.
don't even know what his, like, what is that, MO was. Like, why he was even targeting these women.
Yeah, like why? Like,
why?
What was his motivation? No, we don't. Like, and it won't. Like, I don't.
We'll
think
never know.
We'll never find out
No.
now. But like as a concept, Jack the Ripper transformed into a boogeyman. He transformed into
Terrifying.
a monster, a myth, and now he's in stories.
The
with Sherlock
OG
Holmes.
serial killer.
He's in movies with fucking
Yeah.
Michael Caine. He's just.
Yeah.
He's not even a
terrifying.
man anymore. He
No.
is a myth.
Yeah.
And I never realized just how evil and like sinister of a myth it is.
Yeah.
Like, or story it is.
Jack the Ripper. Yeah, exactly. As I said to you, I thought when I first heard it was fictional.
Yeah.
This was years ago. But then I knew he killed people, but I didn't know the extent of it until I started doing my research for this podcast, and it's pretty barbaric, like.
It's incredibly barbaric.
Yeah.
And like if you framed this in 2020
Jesus.
and this was happening in 2020, you would just be sick. You just
Yeah.
wouldn't even think it's an interesting story. It's just
No.
awful. But because it happened in 1888, and it's kind of like it kicked off that mass hysteria. It kicked off this legend of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible to think.
Yeah.
When I thought of Jack the Ripper, I thought of like a man in a foggy Victorian London street who came up and maybe like stabbed somebody. I didn't imagine someone who like premeditated and stalked and dismembered.
Then there's that ritualistic kind of
Yeah.
laying out organs and entrails.
I did not realize that element to it at all. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty sinister stuff. Like,
incredibly sinister
Yeah.
stuff. And
just lock your doors at night and your windows. You know.
London's probably a lot safer now.
Yeah. Well.
You know, but it's just yeah.
It's crazy.
It
really
it's crazy.
is
It's grisly. It's a mental.
Thank you for even bringing that to our attention as an actual topic to discuss. It's great. It's good stuff.
It really, reading into it, and it broadens your horizons. You realize
there's so much out there. I mean, if you're more like we've scratched it there, but there's a lot more out there. I mean,
you can read a lot more into.
Yeah, there's people who go into depth in the psychology of Jack and who he was, who he could have been. You know, things like
there's
that.
Books and books and books, and there's ripperology.
Yeah, ripperology. Yeah,
it's all still going on, and it probably will never stop.
No,
because it's just a fascinating figure.
He has left that imprint.
Yeah.
On English
that
lore.
imprint.
But yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
And thank you.
That was excellent. Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful. Yeah, that was Jack the Ripper.
That was Jack the Ripper.
That was Jack the Ripper. That was the Ripper of London.
Ripper the Jack.
Yeah, let's move on to. I tell you what. Let's finish this up.
You had a lighter side of the podcast.
Fuck.
To go into, I think, or have I just?
You may have thrown a
spanner into the works here.
Oh yeah. No, I just had a random question I seen here. This is now we're off Jack the Ripper. That's done and dusted.
Yeah, Jack the Ripper. You've seen that there. You're using the timestamps. Then you're past the Jack the Ripper part. You're
Perfect. Okay. Person with the podcast. Yeah, I've got a question for you this week. That'll kind of bring us into what we've been getting up to. But my question to you this week is: you're suddenly killed. Okay.
Sucks.
Death comes up to you and lets you choose a game to challenge them at for another chance at life.
Fuck.
If you win, you get another chance at life. If you don't, you lose. What game do you choose?
Does it have to be a competitive game?
What are we thinking?
What's your 3?
Hide and go seek.
It's 170 hours extra.
No, yeah. Let's say competitive game. Now, when I was reading through these comments, people were, there was the likes of that, like hide and go seek was an option.
Yeah.
But let's dial this in a bit. Let's narrow it down. Let's say video game of your choice.
Video game?
Let's say video game.
Oh shit, okay.
So something you can excel in.
A competitive video game.
Competitive video game, I think, that would bring you back from the dead.
See, whenever you say game, I was going to go for like...
what were you thinking?
I was going to go with some sort of random game. Like somewhere you just have a 50-50 chance.
Like roulette or blackjack or something like that.
Yeah, odds or evens on
Snap.
roulette.
Don't know how good his reactions are,
That's true. You got to think that. And if you tap his hand, you die.
No, true, yes.
So you won't want that.
No.
So it's a video game. Then.
Well, let's say video game. Yeah, I think video game is an easier avenue for us to go down.
So this is interesting. So what knowledge does Death have? And does he play video games? Would he, if I handed him a controller, for example,
I would just say
he's even capable of playing.
He's rounded, I would say, in just about anything. But what you need to be thinking of is where do you excel?
Where do I excel? In competitive video games? I just don't excel in competitive video games.
Not even competitive, but let's say we just chose a game and we were like, I don't even know how to frame this.
I don't know, Chris. This is difficult.
I think I had to think about this. Obviously, I had a good bit more time to think about it. I think I would choose a race on Mario Kart Double Dash.
I was thinking that.
I think that's where I would excel.
You are very good at that game.
I'm naturally good at that game. I think. Yeah, it's because of the hours we put in.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
But
I don't think I'd go for Mario Kart because there's too much
can happen.
Chance.
Yeah,
you can just get fucked up on one race, and that's
you
literally
can get
dead.
fucked up in the last corner.
Exactly.
And you're not coming back to life. But I mean, I'm dead anyway. This is just a chance at retribution.
Yeah, but you really want to give yourself the best chance.
I guess.
I don't know. I think I'd go for something like... I'd probably go with some sort of shooter game.
Drop into a battle royale.
That's 100 other people.
Drop it 150 if we're going Warzone.
Just one of us gets to live out of 100 people.
Yeah, imagine that.
That's something else.
Now we're thinking, the winner gets to live.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a real battle royale.
When you die, you die.
You can't do this, Chris.
I've been playing a lot of Warzone this week
Legally
as well,
not allowed.
And I can tell you that I wouldn't be here now if that was the case.
Neither would I. I would just not. No, I'd be long dead. I guess I'd go for an older game because I don't really play them anymore. So like I'm thinking like Modern Warfare 2 or something.
Oh
like that.
yeah,
something that I played a lot of hours.
That's what I'm trying to think.
The maps.
Yeah.
I should be okay. I shouldn't do too badly.
Now, is there a game mode? Like, do you want to go snipers only? Do you want to go?
Fuck, I can go to that level, can I?
Oh yeah. Like you
probably hardcore.
Oh yeah.
Man. I'd probably go hardcore.
Yeah. Hardcore, I think, always gives you the best chance. Hardcore
just because this is like 2 taps and they're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
I know this is high risk though because then you're 2 taps and you're dead. But I think if I get the drop on death once or twice, then once you have a bit of a lead there, you can.
Have you got a certain map you want to jump into?
I'm thinking a state at the minute, Chris. But then I actually think.
Don't do it.
No, I wouldn't do Rust.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do Rust.
Okay.
I think I might go for Scrapyard.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I like Scrapyard because I'm better moving, and I need to be able to move.
I'm not. I enjoy
pick a spot.
I'm the camper. I camped in Double Dash Day. I camped in a Mario Kart game. That's
true.
I think that's a game. What about if it was like, let's open it up a bit, like, and you could like challenge them to like 100-yard foot race, or like your ability to reverse in and around cones the quickest time, or something like that. Is there somewhere in your life you think you would excel at?
I think we should play in the game of life.
Oh, that's good. I've never played that game.
No, neither have I. I just think it would be ironic.
Yeah,
to play that with death.
Monopoly.
Fuck. Cards Against Humanity. Can't win that. Well, you can't technically.
I'd go to jail if it was a Monopoly.
I guess what game could you play that? Chess? Imagine playing a game of chess with death. I'd definitely lose that because that's the game where experience can help you with that.
Oh, 100%. I enjoy chess. Don't get me wrong, but
I'm not good at it.
I'm not good at it. No.
It's a tough one.
Adrenaline challenge, maybe.
Really?
No. I mean, you slap on a bit of Linkin Park, you get adrenaline challenge going. Give me a can of Relentless. Yes. Anything can happen here.
Yeah,
you know.
This is true.
Yeah.
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man. Tetris.
Oh,
maybe. Tetris is horrible. Tetris is a horrible game. I don't enjoy Tetris. It's too stressful for me.
Yeah,
it is too stressful.
There's a game there that Laura always tries to get me to play. Overcooked? Do you play Overcooked?
No.
It's not even that crazy stressful. It's just that there's always a timer counting down, and you're trying to go as fast as possible without making a mistake. Every time we play it, I do enjoy it. But the thought of it, so stressful.
You introduce a timer to me and my heart's already going like I've got palpitations and sweaty palms.
Yeah.
You know.
Fuck that.
No.
I'm just trying to think what is a game that I literally have played over and over and over again. First person to finish. A
1,000-piece jigsaw of the sea.
Mile High Club, Modern Warfare.
Oh fuck it! You were very good at that. You knew your way around.
I sunk hours into that.
Jesus, I could never get it. I didn't actually get it on my Xbox. It was our friend Patrick McKenna got it for me.
We got it for you?
He came over one day and he just was like, "I'm not leaving this room until I get this." I was like, "You work away, son. I don't care." I didn't care.
Well, that's great. At least
that was the one achievement I didn't get. I think that might have been my first 1,000 G.
I think that was my first. No, sorry. Assassin's Creed 2 was my first 1,000 G.
I don't even know how you did that. Looking for feathers.
Good times. I think I do that one because I put time into that.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're coming into that fresh, you got a serious disadvantage.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in years and years and years, but I still think I'd have enough muscle memory and sort of contextual knowledge. I'd be like, oh, you do this, you do that, boom, 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 flashbang.
Oh, I don't know. I just can't.
The first one to finish that.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Maybe first one to finish the opening level of Tomb Raider Anniversary.
Fair.
I think I could speedrun that game pretty well.
Okay.
I used to remember, as you say, just whenever you're saying there, muscle memory with the buttons and stuff, I think I could do pretty well there.
Almost do it subconsciously.
Nearly.
So you couldn't really mess it up too much.
No. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, good.
All right, Death.
Good, Death.
You've met your
Where did it go?
Me.
But yeah, I wanted to go from that into...
I have a Did You Know, Chris. I got a Did You Know last week.
Oh, you hit me the Did You.
It's so stupid, but you're going to love it.
Oh, I have Did You Knows.
Lad.
I knew I brought 2 books for a reason.
Right. The green gummy bear in a Haribo Star Mix.
The best gummy bear in a Haribo Star Mix. The best sweet of a Star Mix. The best flavour of gummy bear is the green one.
Oh.
Fact. Apple. The best. Maybe it's elderflower.
Strawberry.
No, it's not.
Strawberry. Oh, I love the way you said that. I love the way you dropped it on me. It's a breath of flavour. Apple. And I was like, it's not apple.
It's not strawberry.
It is. What? This was from QA. I got this yesterday. I better fact check. Haribo Star Mix.
Yeah, pull that up, D.
Green.
Take a look at that. No, I'm not buying that for a second.
So.
Despite its colour, the Star Mix Green Bear is actually strawberry flavour, and contrary to popular belief, the red tinted treat tastes like raspberry.
That's the Sun. That's not the best reliable
tabloid,
source. Yeah. But enough people, Chris. It was on the Chase, Chris. It was on the Chase. The
Chase is an English-based game show on TV.
And that was the question. And the
was shit. I would have said elderflower or something.
I know. Yeah. Why the fuck is it green if it's strawberry? It just doesn't make any sense.
It's because they need to make all different colours. That's impressive. Now I know I don't like apple sweets. I like strawberry sweets.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Pretty important distinction.
That is the best flavour of gummy bear, by the way.
That's good.
It's the best sweet in the Star Mix. Fact. You keep your hearts, you keep your fried eggs, you keep your cola bottles, you keep your rings. Just give me the green. Give me the green gummy bears.
Give me the green gummy bears. Excellent.
Wow, that was great. Thank you for that.
What do you got for me then?
Have you ever heard of Operation Northwoods?
Oh, no. Should I?
This is something that I almost want to tell you, but I don't. It's a pretty big topic. I think we could bring it up. Okay, yeah, we could bring it up in. So I'll explain to you what it is, and maybe we could look at it in another podcast.
Is it dedicated podcast material?
I think so.
Oh, interesting.
So Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation, which called for the CIA and other U.S. government operatives to both stage and commit acts of terrorism against the American military and civilian targets, blaming them on Cuban government, using it as a justifiable reason to wage war on Cuba.
I have heard of this.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah. This is one of these things where it's like, what conspiracy theory out there turned out to be true? And it was this. It was like, the American government is trying to commit acts of terrorism against itself to start a war.
Yeah. There you go. It was right there.
Well,
the proposals were actually rejected by JFK.
He got as high as the president.
They brought them to the president, and he just went, no. It involved hijacking and bombings, followed by the introduction of phony evidence that would implicate the Cuban government.
That's mad.
What? I was reading this, and I was like, surely not. It's public knowledge. It's out there now. It's revealed. It's we call that the embargo, whatever has been.
Yeah. It's mad.
Isn't that crazy?
Fucking Americans.
Let's plot against our own so we can wage war. It makes you think, with all the stuff that's gone on over the years.
Yep.
But there you go.
I know where you're getting at, but yeah.
There you go. Something else for you to think about.
Something to think about.
This week, let's talk about what we've watched and stuff, because I kind of want to talk about something that I've watched. Can I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I have been recommended, The Fall?
Yes.
Have you watched it?
No.
On Netflix? The Jamie Dornan, Gillian Anderson. Yeah.
It's good.
In the last 2 days, I've binged the entire thing bar 2 episodes, 3 seasons of it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very, very good. And being that we're in Belfast, I'm watching it on TV and I'm being like, I've been there.
Yeah.
It's very, very good.
Well, that I've always heard it's very, very good. I actually seen a clip of it. Netflix recommended after we finished it, like a show or something, and it was Gillian Anderson, like the main. Like,
she is brilliant.
The bearded police guy.
Yeah.
The Belfast guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, this looks."
She is brilliant.
She's good. She's brilliant in most things.
Yeah.
She's excellent.
Yeah.
Gilly.
It's so good. Yeah, I can't. I was recommended it again. First season's 5 episodes.
Oh, nice. I always thought it was gonna be like 3 episodes. You know the BBC do things.
2 more seasons of 6 episodes each.
Nice.
Definitely worth it. Anybody out there that hasn't watched The Fall yet, I know it's quite old. It was like 2016 or something that came out. 2016, 2017 it came out. Watch it. Really, really watch it. Really, really good.
I'm gonna have to catch up. There's a lot of shows that I have to watch, Chris. So might take a wee bit of time.
That's what I've been. Oh, hello. That's what I've been watching this week. So
dog on pod. That's interesting. That's my dog that just went over to Chris.
And now we're friends. Yeah, we weren't friends when I pulled up. When I first got here today, I told you. I told you as well before we'd leave, we'd be friends. And now look at us bonding over.
Picked you over me.
Bonding over The Fall.
I feed you, man.
Big fan of BBC Productions.
Yeah, she would be. She's a Belfast native.
What have you been watching?
I watched a bunch of movies, Chris.
Tell me.
A bunch of movies during the week, which we don't normally do. Interestingly, kind of ties in with this. Watched American Psycho for the first time ever.
Christian Bale. He's a psychopath. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. And it reminds me a lot of talking about Jack the Ripper, and I'm seeing these like parallels, and I'm linking it back to what I saw in the movie, and I'm like, God, psychopaths, like their approach to the world,
it's just completely out of line, out of whack.
You just can't comprehend it. Like
yeah.
I think we can. I physically don't think we can comprehend what they are thinking or how they operate. Like it's absolutely scary. Like it's super scary.
Yeah, he's a proper nut job in that movie, though.
He is. Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie either. I've seen the important parts, I think, from like clips all throughout the years.
It's good, but it kind of does. It tries to like maybe bend your expectations, and like twist things around a bit too much. Nearly, you're kind of. I'm not super satisfied with the finish. Although I get it, and I'm kind of like, I understand what you're going for. But it was pretty good. I also watched. We watched a couple of rom-coms. Watched Heartbreak Kid with Ben Stiller.
Do you like Ben Stiller?
Yes, I do. I never thought I did, but I do.
That's divisive. Like
he's a good. No, he's a. You know what? He's a good actor and he's funny, right? Yeah. He is funny, and his dad is funny too.
He died recently.
Yeah, Jerry Stiller. Yeah, he was in that movie as well.
He was also in King of Queens. That I know him best from. Yeah. I think he's an okay actor. I like him in Night at the Museum.
Yeah. I like him. I like him in quite a few things.
Is he in the Zodiac, or is that?
No, I don't think so.
No.
What else? Watched Horrible Bosses, which was on the back of watching Game Night, which I recommended. It was good. And Chris, this is the most interesting one. We watched a movie called Coherence. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Interesting film.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting. It's kind of like a semi-horror, like mindfuck movie.
Okay.
And it's about this comet that comes flying overhead, and it kind of messes up timelines a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, and they do some interesting stuff with that. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it did enough to kind of keep me like, oh, that's cool, and that links back to this, and it keeps your brain working. Has a pretty good ending. Again, not like blown away or anything, but I was like, that is a good movie, and I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
Watch that if you want to watch something a little bit different.
I'm gonna write that.
You want to watch something a little bit different this weekend? You go ahead and you watch yourself Coherence. Good film. But yeah, that's all the films that I watched, which is different for me because I normally watch TV shows. The Boys season 2 came out yesterday. That's right. First 3 episodes are going to try. Watch that tonight.
Excellent.
That's the plan.
I meant to tell you, I finished a couple of really good books recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I've got the name wrong.
You got any of these books right here? Look at this. These books, by the way, are just a couple of things lying.
Just ones that were just sitting there.
Didn't pick that. Didn't cherry pick those at all. Those are just
Steinbeck. I was going to say Kubrick, but that's Stanley Kubrick. Yeah. Steinbeck, East of Eden.
Yeah.
Quite possibly one of the best books I've ever
read.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's like the 50s or 40s.
Yep. 50s. Yeah. No.
60s, 70s.
Turn of the century.
1800s? 1900s?
Yeah, turn of the century.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Exceptional book.
Is
Really, really good book.
John Steinbeck is like the
The
quintessential
great American author.
Yeah.
So much so that I actually went out and bought The Grapes of Wrath, which is
I've
another
heard
one of
that
his,
as well.
which is another good book. I'm only like halfway through it at the minute, but his attention to detail in books is something else.
Well, that's good.
Like East of Eden is like a 700-page book, I think.
Fuck.
Something huge, really tiny writing. Really, really worth it. Chapters are broke up nicely. I'm gonna lend it to you actually because I think you should read that book.
Speaking of books that you let me, you want to take those back with you?
Yeah. Okay. I'll take them back. And I finished reading something else, and I've forgotten it now.
How many hours a day would you spend reading? If any hours a day?
If any hours a day, maybe. Nah, 2's generous. Oh, maybe two. I read a bit when I eat my breakfast in the morning. I tend to read whatever book I'm reading. I used to always just scroll on my phone,
Yeah.
and I got sick of seeing the same shit. So I tend to read, and then I read last thing at night before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
I'll always read. Maybe read for the guts of an hour
Yeah.
there. So yeah, maybe 2 hours a day.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair.
I went to Donegal there a couple of weeks ago, and I think I read maybe 3-4 hours a day. It was nice.
Sure. Why
Polished off 2 books up there, So why would you read?
I would read at night before bed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good way to go to sleep though.
I've tried to. I watched a video on YouTube recently. It was talking about like just I got 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes to spare. Just read.
Yeah.
Which I never would have done because I never really believed in. I don't ever believe you can get into a book in 10 minutes. You
No.
can never really appreciate it. You'd just be reading words and they'd be lost. the next time you come
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
So I might try that.
Oh, you haven't
but,
actually tried that yet?
No.
Okay,
I
yeah.
haven't.
Okay.
At the minute I'm reading my first Stephen King novel.
Oh.
No, that's. Oh yeah, my first Stephen King novel. I've read novellas of his before.
Is there a difference in a novel and a novella?
It's just a lot shorter, a novella. Like the Shawshank Redemption short story
Mm-hmm.
is like maybe 1,000. No, maybe like 10,000 words or something like
I
that.
thought you were going to say 10,000 pages.
No.
Yeah.
It's like very short. Like
Okay.
they would you put like 4 or 5 novellas into one book, right?
yeah.
But I'm reading I forget what it's called. It's basically it's a date 11/06/63 or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's the one where like there's a time machine that you can go back and see of JFK.
Oh.
Good book so far.
That's interesting.
I'm only like, according to Kindle, I'm only like 8% into it, but yeah, pretty good. I've only read like 2 hours of it, so, or well, maybe not 2 hours. So it'll be a bit of a slog.
Do you listen to any books? Do you listen
No.
to audiobooks?
I don't listen to anything anymore.
No?
I used to listen to podcasts all the time.
I
stopped.
do. I still listen to a lot of podcasts, and
I don't have enough of a commute anymore.
True.
So I
Right
don't
now,
listen to
yeah. I find that sometimes I'm not in the mood for reading. I'll just stick on like an audiobook, fall asleep to that.
Yeah, it's
good.
fair enough. Yeah.
It's good.
It's a
Yeah,
good way to go.
yeah.
Some books I just wouldn't let myself listen.
Exactly. It depends on number one what the book is, number two who's narrating it.
Yeah.
You can get a terrible narrator, and it's just like, oh, why am I even
I think
bothering?
I would only ever like listen to a book that I'm kind of like, I'm just in it for the story. It's almost like watching a film. Just like let me have it.
The Stephen Fry Mythos
Oh,
and what's the other one? Mythos and Heroes. I read one, listened to one. They both came out at like equal.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's good. Yeah.
So yeah,
I imagine that would be good because he's just kind of telling you like stories of the
yeah,
gods and
yeah,
stuff like
exactly. Yeah,
That'd be
kind of
easy.
like Neil Gaiman.
that. Yeah, New
Yeah.
Game.
Norse mythology is a fantastic book.
Yeah. I love that.
We've
I love
recommended
that.
that. Yeah.
Cover. For
It's a brilliant cover. Yeah,
White.
yeah,
It's gorgeous.
with Mjolnir on the front.
Mjolnir.
I think that's all I've got up to this week, Dave. I don't think I've done much.
It's
else.
only been a week.
It's only been a week.
First time in a long time.
Right, we're
since
back.
we've done that.
Yeah, this is what we do now. Even if we have to do it remotely, we're going to be back on your screen
Every single
week.
we're like a bad rush.
Exactly. Even if it's only like a quick hour-long podcast to discuss something simple.
These are all out there going, please God, just do an hour-long podcast.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Our last hour-long podcast was 2.5 hours.
Anybody who's made it this far, perhaps you're willing to go a little further. If you could do us all a solid and like the video if you're watching it. And if you're listening to us on anything else other than Spotify, we would greatly appreciate a rating.
Yep.
That would just help us out tremendously if you have the time.
Yep.
That
Leave
would
a
be.
review as well if you want to say like.
It literally takes
Right.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
Literally.
Just it's
5
just, it's
seconds.
just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to hit the 5-star.
Yeah.
If there's 6 stars. Even then, 5 stars.
5. You got to make it believable.
Yeah.
You know, we're not
Let's
6-star
go
quality.
believe 6 stars.
I think that's all I really wanted to discuss this week, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's been a good one.
It has been a good one.
Heavy topic, but...
Oh, we had the delicious boojum before we started.
Did have delicious
Yeah, that was really good. Although, I have to say, I'm a little peckish.
For seconds?
For seconds?
Should I get them?
I think you should get
Should
them.
have got that. Someone came to our door mid-podcast offering us a boojum.
Yep.
We didn't order.
Yeah.
Should have took it.
If you notice the continuity error, wearing completely different clothes, completely different day, an extra one crossed out in the calendar. You can't even see the calendar. It's okay.
There's a calendar.
There's a calendar there.
If you're listening to this, you couldn't see it anyway.
No, exactly, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for tuning in this week. It's been a pleasure to do it. Dee, thank you for having me up in your lovely house.
Thank you for coming up, Chris.
For all of you that don't follow us, hit that big follow button, hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you want to do that, you can get in contact with us on any podcast hosting service. Just search for the handle Empty Promise Podcast. What else? You can get in touch with us with email either, which is
emptypromisepodcast@gmail.com.
That's the one. I don't know how I don't get that every week. It's just our podcast name at Gmail.
See, the first week that you do say it, I'm gonna change it. Change it to something
ridiculous.
Empty promise.
Yeah.
Pod.
No, because we're not going to get in trouble again for missing out people's comments and stuff.
Sure.
That'll be the week that we have like 2 or 3 emails coming in. And we'll miss them all.
I think like that email address exists only to forward emails to the one that we actually use.
Yeah.
Which isn't called Empty Promise Podcast. Because why would you name an email after your podcast?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, why would you? Thank you for tuning in this week, boys and girls. We hope it finds you safe. Keep safe, and we'll see you all next week. Goodbye and God bless.